says she has 16 people out planning to take pictures along favorite trails. So there should be some good walks.
That's great.
There she is.
Yes.
As people are joining us, you can turn on your video if you would like to see and be seen. It's kind of fun to see who's here.
It makes it more of a party.
Yeah, since we see so few faces this year.
Well, I'll step in briefly, then I'm going to go away again because I'm cooking dinner. But hi, everybody.
Good.
Yes.
Hi, Susan.
And the little wildflower galleries are so fun. I had no idea they would be as much fun as they are. So
That's great.
big thanks to Annie and everybody that comes by and drops off pieces and takes them. And yeah.
I stopped by yours today again.
Oh, and I was gone again.
I know. Those sunny days, I just can't find you on the boat, but I got to see your gallery. It's just full. Crocheted flowers, painted rock flowers. It's earrings.
I know. Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? They just keep showing up. It's fun. Yeah. It's really cool.
It's really wonderful. Thank you for your part in making all of those happen, Susan.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's 7 o'clock. I think I'll wait for a minute or two and see if anyone else is joining us. I see Rick and Jay are standing ready.
Yeah, I think people feel free to arrive late at a Zoom meeting in a way that they wouldn't for an in-person meeting.
Yeah.
I wish I was as on time in all of my meetings. I see Simona's here. Simona, if you can hear me, I loved seeing your wildflower poem in the gallery today, in the little gallery.
You found it.
I found it. That was a very special poem. I wanted to take it, but I didn't. I read it front and back and I left it. It's an elegant poem.
I'm going to put out more.
Are you going to put more?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Thank
I think you're our first wildflower poem into the galleries. It's really wonderful. Well, I think we can get started now. We have quite a few people here. And so as you're continuing to arrive, I'll start first with just explaining that this is the 39th year of the North Coast chapter of the California Native Plant Society's Spring Wildflower Show. And for many of those years, the Wildflower Show kicked, it just said I signed out. Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay, good. I got a little thing that popped up and said I signed out. That made my heart thump for a second. Okay, well, welcome to this third of our 4 Friday evening Zoom presentations for the Art Share April. And the art night started with the Wildflower Show 39 years ago. And as the COVID pandemic began last year, we had to find new ways of sharing art and the community. And as most of you have been seeing, the little wildflower galleries are part of the way that we're sharing art, but we also on our website have quite a few other activities that are ongoing that have to do with the Art Share. And those activities can be found at northcoastcmps.org. And then the menu of 2021 Wildflower Show, and then Art Share. And you'll see all of the various activities and one additional Zoom meeting and Facebook and Instagram. And while you're there, be sure to take a look at the activities that are planned for the 2021 Wildflower Show, which includes an iNaturalist BioBlitz, which is going to have, I think we just heard 16 different walks where all the wildflowers are photographed and posted online, where you can go on some virtual walks as well as safely distanced walks on your own. So be sure and check out what's happening with the Wildflower Show, and that will include beginning April 24th, Zoom presentations every evening through May 2nd. So that's going to follow this Art Share April. And before we get started with our speaker this evening, I'd like to talk just a little bit about how we make this Zoom meeting work. It's fine if you'd like to show your video because then we can see your face, but it's good to stay muted while you're online while the speaker's talking. I see all of you are muted, but I'm not seeing faces. This is being recorded, so if you'd prefer not to be seen should your face pop up, just be aware of that. It is fun to see all of us gathered here together, so feel free to turn off or on your video as you see fit. If any of you have any questions on how to change your screen view or how to unmute or mute, the mute button is generally on the lower left corner of your screen. It's the little microphone. You can unmute it or mute it just by clicking on it. The video is right next to it. It looks like a little video camera. And then we have a chat, which looks like a little cartoons, you know, thought or speaking. And the chat is where you can click on it and then, is that what it looks like? I'm trying to find it. But yes, and then you can type in that any questions that you might have as we go along, and I will get them to our speaker this evening. So you have the chat about the middle at the bottom of your screen. And then just checking to see if there was anything else that would, oh, up in the upper right corner, there's a little icon that says view, and you have the choice of viewing as a gallery, which shows all of the various people in the meeting, or you can click on speaker only, and that will show our speaker when he begins. So do we have any questions at this point about the Zoom, or let's see, yeah. So when you're on chat, if you click to either the presenter or to everyone, it will depend on who sees your message. So I'm looking at it right now to see if there are any questions. I'm not seeing any yet. Okay, and if you, okay, so I think we're ready to move forward to our speaker. And this evening, RickTolley is going to be our speaker, and he's going to present WalkInBeauty Wildflowers. And many of you know Rick by his plein air paintings of the greater Northern California area. And his work is inspired by nature's beauty, which he skillfully translates to oil on canvas. Hi, Rick. Both that love and skill extend also to the wildflowers. For many years, Rick hosted this very wildflower show art experiences. The artists gathered to paint with him on the night before the annual wildflower show, and they each chose wildflowers from the exhibit and went to the room to paint together, where Rick provided live music for everyone to peacefully have their art and wildflower experience. This evening, Rick has offered to share a favorite spring painting hike with us all. It's called his North Fork of the Mad River annual hike. Rick, if you're ready, I'll turn the screen over to you.
I am ready.
All right, thanks. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. So I've got my Zoom flower paintings.
Yeah, I'm gonna show the paint.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hi guys. Glad you could make it out tonight. One of my great joys has been walking in beauty, I call it, where you forget your troubles, forget you're sick, forget your bank account, and you find wildflowers, which are just a wonder. Here's some me walking all the way out to my garden and doing some ornamental studies. Patty quoted Tim McKay last week, and so these are gouache and casein. This is oil. Here's a picture of a big lily, the block-in, the finished painting. This is from hiking down into Tall Trees Grove. A lily, another garden rose. This is last year, right about this time up in the Mad River. The red bud goes off, and it's a very short window on the redbud. And we went back a week later near Sandy Camp, and they're pretty faded. So right now is the time to get out on the Trinity, and it seems like it's early too. Here's a wood rose from my garden. This is a casein. There's a little sketch from Art Night, which I used to host. We get live music, we get bumping, and we let the music flow through us. Another garden roses. This is sort of a block in. When you work as an oil painter, you block in your composition, get it the way you want it, and then and I actually never found the finished painting, so that may have sold. This is some Brodigia I grew in my garden. It kind of popped up against the raised bed. This is roses for Melanie, my beloved. This is a start that needs more work. And now it's time for poppies. Yeah, so here's a painting I did a couple of years ago. Hiked all the way into what my friend Sandy Flippin calls Poppy Beach. There used to be a trail where you could get into these fields of poppies, and that trail last year collapsed. But here's a gouache painting that I started up along that trail. And here's another gouache painting. Gouache is it's a water media, but it handles both like watercolors and like oils or acrylics because you can paint opaquely. Yeah, here I am doing another one. You can see there's a bit of water, fields of poppies. And that's the same painting after I've kind of refined the edges a little bit. This is when I started and finished in the studio. Another one just taking a break, and that looks good. And here's an older one. So there's been profuse blooms, and these things are quite a treat. You know, you never know when you're going to come upon them. I did a backpacking trip up in the Marble Mountains to Hancock Lake, and both Steve Dern and Ben Furness and we all brought water filters. Well, there was a spring about a quarter mile away, and you walked through a forest of tiger lilies that were hip high. So we fought over who was going to go and get water, and we never used any of those filters at all. You know, another time I was up Ken Jarville, an acrylic painter. We were up on Grouse Mountain by the lookout, and we were kind of looking down the view and identifying all the trees, a little annoyed at the shotgun shells. And at our feet were those fawn lilies that Patty showed a painting of, you know, just a carpet of fawn lilies. So you find these moments when you're out in wilderness, and it doesn't have to be too far. This is just up the Mad River, which has been a walk I've done for 40 some odd years, and every year is a little distance, a little different. But here is the photograph of the painting, or the source photograph for the painting. And these are some of the things you see. You know, this is Poppy Beach right up here. Just these fields of magnificent wildflowers. On the way in, there's some lupin. You know, you can see the promise of the poppies across the way. Just, you know, blankets and blankets of poppies. So I went back yesterday with my son-in-law, Tom Lukens, and my grandson, Leland, and tried to refine some of the things on this little pochade. So you have pochade boxes. And I have one right here that I'm going to paint from, and I have the smaller one. And, you know, in the early part of Impressionism, when oil paints could be put in tubes, people would go out and do little studies, and those studies were called pochades, and the box was, your pochade box. And so here's the view we're looking at again. Heading out. This is last year. This year we haven't had enough rain. Things are drying up much sooner. Climate change. Yeah, Columbine. And here's my bike. Yeah, so I'd ride my bike up, tag it to the tree, and hike on up. So I am flipping through paintings on my iPad, and I will hook this up to a large monitor or TV and use it for reference. You want to you don't want to have many filters between you and the art you're trying to articulate. The camera, especially on our iPhones, they're like a wide angle lens, so things are pushed back, things are spread out, colors are not accurate, shadows are really dark with all cameras. And so you have to be smart, cautious about how you use photographs. But I like to go, oh, what's that poppy in the foreground really look like? Well, I can do this with 2 fingers. And so that is a great help. So I have this, can we see the,
Yeah, if the one behind you here, we can show it.
can we see this one?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I did a little study, and I'm going to do a block-in from this study.
I guess if you flip it around, they'll be able to see it.
Yeah, then I won't be able to see it.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm going to do a larger painting, which is sort of a classical approach from this gouache painting. And you'll be able to see the painting. And a lot of times I'll do a 12 by 16 or something, which is fairly large, and I'll be fighting to compress it into the painting and go home and start and paint a larger one off it and use it as reference. Yeah.
Rick,
Yeah.
if I could say one comment that we've seen is that people love looking at your paintings, and when you flip through them, if you could go a little slower so that they could see them. So just that feedback is they're enjoying seeing these. Don't go
There
too.
we go. This screen is sharing. Please check. Too fast. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Anything specific you want to take a look at?
And we want to see you paint now.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get. So what I'm gonna do now is what's called the block-in, and I like to paint as thin as watercolor. Okay, and just scrub it in. Yeah. And if it runs, I've got the right consistency. Yeah, so I'm kind of looking at my my little gouache painting, and that's looking good. Now, it's really easy to paint your sky too dark. I went to a Matt Smith workshop, who's a real renowned Southwest painter, and he's like, paint your skies last. Well, I'm kind of lazy, and I like to get that sky down and kind of work down across the painting. And I was painting yesterday, and my grandson was helping me. Or we did one together, that's the way it went. And I really wanted to get this hill in, and you gotta kind of push it back. It's got a little purple, a little lavender, so that's too dark. Yeah, that's better. So I've got this hill back here. Yeah. So I've got a tree here. So I'm going to bring that sky on through, and I'll paint I'll save my brushes with color, and that comes from Mark D'Alessio, who you can see a lot of videos of his painting online, and he'll just, he'll save a color rather than cleaning his brush all the time. I've been looking at some E.J. Robinson painting because I've been doing some ocean stuff, and he uses one brush, and then for detail he'll get a smaller one, but it's pretty much one or two brushes, and he's cleaning them all the time. So that is not me. There's my tree. I got a tree right here. I got all this stuff. So I'm thinking that's still a little, yeah. So with oil paint, you can do this. I really admire watercolors, and I think they get a bum rap. I think they're, really have to get their composition nailed or at the beginning, because there's no changing it, right? And an example of that is my friend Jody Bryan. I met her at a Art in the Garden weekend, and she showed me her sketchbook, and she'd do 5 or 6 sketches before she would commit to a painting. So that was pretty remarkable. Yeah. So I'm just going to work my way down here. I'm going to look for some darks. A little ultramarine blue and some yellow ochre, and actually look for my darks. So again, I'm going to call this a block-in, because this would normally be a painting that would take multiple sessions, and my nature is to be optimistic and overzealous, but I think I'm going to, continue this, and we'll get a nice painting out of it. Yeah. So I'm sort of just indicating where my darks are, because they kind of help establish the values. I've got darks in here, which are more of a deep lavender, as kind of a complement to those yellows we see. Yeah, you can't see my my little post-shade painting, but a lot of nice shadows. The sun's over here. Yeah, and I suppose I could answer questions if people have any. It's a little hard for me to read.
Yeah, it's just a comment for me. And let me, might have an idea here. You can continue. I'm just going to upload a picture of what your reference is.
Oh,
Screen, so
awesome. Awesome. Runaway. So the block-in is thin. And I'm going to lighten that a little bit. Yeah, I like that better. Kind of scrubbing it in. So what I'm looking for is my composition. Composition is really important. I went to a workshop with Matt Smith, and he observed that no amount of composition, or no amount of finish, can save a bad composition. And as I walked down the gateway there at the Tucson airport, I saw some people that could paint beautifully, and but they had terrible compositions. And so there it was. I like to kind of try to get everything blocked in. And then you can see how those relationships work. You can start working on your values. The values get closer together as you go into the distance. The yellow kind of goes out of things. And we have a lot of atmosphere in Humboldt County, so you're all really aware of that. Kind of turns right here. And you can see I'm saving those colors. So I've got this real bright, warm, yellow, which is the way the poppies express themselves. There'll be a real warmth in the top and the poppy blossoms, and maybe I'll show one here. There's just how that builds up. There's a dark down here because we're in shadow, and then it gets this sunlit part, and then on top of that, we're going to jump the gun a little bit, but that's where your color starts showing up, or the poppy blossoms. Not that that's a formula, but it's what I'm looking for here. I don't want to try to paint every blossom. I want to feel the color, and then along the edges, I'll try to articulate some of the flowers. Yeah, and my sky wants to run downhill. Why wouldn't it? Again, this is the beauty of oils. My watercolorist friends can't do that. Did I mention going out painting with my sister-in-law, Kim, here about 10 days ago? She's quite an accomplished watercolorist, and leaving all the whites and beautiful drawing. And I said, yeah, I can do watercolors. Let me get my gouache out. So I don't have the temperament that watercolors have. All right, we're getting a fistful of brushes. Maybe we'll get a little gray going down here. So when you're painting, you always kind of want to touch what you've mixed on the palette, because between the palette and the canvas, a lot of changes happen. So I'm just going to scrub in this gray a little bit, because there's lead-ins thing. One of the things I was getting with the rocks, if you read Edgar Payne has a book, Composition for Artists or Painters, Oil Painters, and you know, one of the first things you learn is the S curve, you know, so here's the S curve right there. That's going to pull you up in there. And then another thing is diagonals. You know, diagonals pull you up into a painting. And we're all going toward the horizon line, which is your line of sight. So my horizon line on this painting is right in here. And so all the perspective, sky coming down, this plane coming up, have to relate to the horizon line. So the diagonal gets you in there. This S curve gets you in there. And again, this is what's called a block in. I just want to get the shapes and the relationships of the shapes. As a painter, you don't have to be as honest as the photographer. Well, the photographer has no choice, but I used to go out with Michael Harris, who's quite an accomplished photographer, and he'd come back and go, "You guys," because we would move things around to help create kind of stepping stones into the painting. And he had to wait. Yeah, he had to wait. He had to wait for the right light, the right angle. And like in this painting, well, yeah, here's my little guy. So there were a lot more trees in the distance, and I pulled them out. And I edited them out. In fact, I was painting up here with another real accomplished Humboldt County artist, Ken Jarvala. And so we're painting, looking up, down the North Fork at the main stem, and there were trees across the distance and hemlock, and there were all these willows that were really giving me a hard time. And so you want to go out with people that are better than you, and you see how they handle things. And Ken had eliminated all those willows. They were not part of the painting. And I'm like, oh, you can do that? So it took me a while to learn that you could do that. I watched Matt Smith take rocks and set them, you know, to bring a lead in. I've seen Jim McVicker, who's just a master of great space, and there'll be that one seagull that's hanging in the air between Little Trinidad Head and the Vista Point up on the hill, and that one little seagull just makes all that space work. So, yeah, that's how we roll. All right, I'm going to indicate some of these, this foliage here. We're going to trot to go very lightly across the gray. And so I already know I've got some shadows, so I kind of know where those are. Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of dark right in here.
Your brushes are a little bit in the way. Can't quite see.
Oh, I can't see.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
There you go.
Always got to have a fistful of brushes. And thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
Let's look for some more darks. Yeah, I know. Another thing you have to do in your compositions is you have to have things that stop the eye. So this is kind of what I'm doing here. And I went to a workshop with Randy Sexton, and he was really big on that. You know, you got to have things that stop the eye from running off the page. You want the viewer to come in, you got a diagonal here, got maybe a little S curve here, you got all this space. In fact, I went to a Jim McVicker workshop and he's like, you got to let him breathe. And I'm like, what is he talking about? I'm doing just fine. And about 3 days into it, I understood that I wasn't allowing enough space for the viewer to journey into the painting. Yeah. And I've since gotten better at that. I still like to paint a waterfall where, your face is kind of in the spray, but my landscapes now, I'm giving the viewer more room. Yeah. See, I got colors in my brush already. I got a real nice, let's make that a little lighter. When you're making colors lighter, white should be your, not your first choice. I'm using Naples yellow here. And to get that secondary color up in there and to lighten the green I had, which was too dark. Yeah. This is over here. We got a whole bunch of poppies right here. So I'm looking at my little study here. And I will change things from my study too, compositionally, to make it work. I was really slavish when I first started painting. And, I got next to some really good painters. They're like, no, don't worry about that. Pull that log in. Jim McVicker did a beautiful painting that his father had, and he pulled a log in that was out of view, but it gave the viewer, it kind of told the viewer how to look into the painting. So there you go. Thinking my darks are a little severe there. And see, that's one of the flaws. Well, too, we were looking directly into the sun when we're painting on this, and the photographs don't have the breadth of values that is really there and what you can see. So you have to understand that you can see into those shadows. Yeah. All right, I'm looking at my reference. I got a mid-tone over here. You get to a point where you're painting shapes and relationships, and you forget that it's a flower for a moment. It's got a shadow back here. And this is in front of all this. And there's actually a tree, but I'm going to indicate this, but I will let things set up before I really come in and detail them out. But I got a tree right here. And I'm going to wait on that. And then I got above this dark right here, between these two darks, yeah. I've got two trees. So Craig Nelson, another teacher of mine, said you got to have something to hang your painting on because it's real easy to get lost. So thank you, Craig. And there was a lot more stuff in here in real life, but I edited it out. Yeah, there's a little dark right there. You don't try to paint everything that's there. Try to interpret what is here. Yeah, so I've been doing this walk for really 40 years. And in the last year, the trail that went all the way back washed out. And so now, like, I went in there last year, and then this year, there's about seven water crossings. So this will be a stop over here too, but I will let this all set up, come back later, but I'm just reminding myself where those little guys are, where those trees are. All right, I've kind of lost my darks a little bit here in the background. Let's see if we can bring them back a little bit.
RickTolley.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions. Well, somebody likes the lavender with the warm green. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I see that color. I've stood on the riverbank with my buddy Ken, and he sees it as black, and I see it. I see deep lavender. So you got to go with what you see, and everybody, in truth, has a different color sense. And I'm gonna wipe that out right there, and bring that
Some of them there.
that warm down. Yeah.
Huh.
And so again, I'm just looking for a block in of the shapes. So alla prima I just try to go for all the details, but I'm trying to get the whole thing covered. That's a little dark over there. And then I can't go 20 feet back here, Jay. My friend John Crater, I go out with a lot. He's like, you got to look at him 20 feet away. You got to stand back 20 feet. And there's a PBS video of, God, I want to say it was Matt Smith and a couple of his buddies, and the woman painter with him, Jean. She says, you got to pound a path 20 feet behind you. You go back, you look, back and forth, back and forth. All right, so we got some green right here. There's a big poppy bunch here. So we're going to dig out our light green. So as I was saying earlier, I'm always optimistic and ambitious. So, you just got to be who you are with this stuff. This is a lot to cover in 45 minutes or whatever, but I'm having fun. That's what Wavy Gravy used to say, for those of my generation, towards the fun. He had kind of a paraphrasing of a Sufi prayer, but it was towards the fun. Yeah. All right. Do we have a dark green here? Looking for questions.
Everybody's having fun.
Okay, is everybody having fun?
Yeah.
Okay. Because one of the things that happens is you lose the power of speech when you're painting, which is a great delight, because you get in this sort of meditative zone. you want to give things, you know, expressiveness too. Like this little batch was kind of leaning, and these guys were kind of leaning out here too. And all those runs are bothering me. But that's what your thumb is for. One of my buddies said, well, oil painters are grown-ups who, when they were kids, they liked to finger paint. So it works for me. All right, so I got this coming down. I'm gonna tuck a little gray in here. I kind of want to get the backs of these flowers done, and the petals will be right at the end. We're going to put a little gray in there. Yeah. So this is kind of where I need to like go 20 feet back, but we can't do that here. But I like plane. So we got this plane here rolling up to your horizon line. And then being a meditator, I'm always sneaking in a little something for you to look at. And so there was a log right in here, which I've totally painted through. Shop towels, can't do it without them. Yeah, so I'm looking for my log. Oh, my bad. He was over here. So I'm just going to indicate this with a light touch. Trying to use the edge of the brush and get a little dark. You know, I use all my brushes. It's just, I was telling you about E.G. Robinson, you know, he would like paint with a big brush and a little one. So there are many ways to the mountaintop. How about some highlights on this foliage right in here? So the sun's over here. You know, we've got these shadows. And you got to get enough paint on there. I'm just going to indicate it, but when I work on this again, I'll put a lot of paint on here and I'll come in and work the edges. I look at my earlier stuff and it looks like cotton balls. You know, I'm not believing it. Yeah, I was at a Randy Sexton painting workshop in Claudia. Lima Jennings brought him up here, and everybody was going around and talking about their favorite painters, and you know, Van Gogh and Monet and Manet and on and on and off. And always the wise ass that I am, I said, well, it's Matt Smith's edges because his foliage is just delightful. It's Jim McVicker's palette because he gets this resonance with his complements, his light and darks. It just makes painting sing. And then of course Matt Smith it's the bling. He calls it the bling. He does these gorgeous highlights. Yeah. So I picked 3 contemporary painters. Yeah, that's just too dark over there. And everybody has, you know, their own color sense. And so you got to find that. You have to find your own voice in that, and you have your own way of painting. So you got to find that too. You have your own way of making marks. Your own, Matt Smith would say, your own personal calligraphy. And I taught calligraphy to junior high, so I can relate to that. I taught it right-handed. Obviously, I'm left-handed, so that was really cool to develop my right hand. It's like Jerry West and Rick Barry were talking about how much better they would have been at basketball playing if they had a left hand like Steph Curry had. So there you go. And there's some highlights back here. So I'm just making a note of that. Yeah. And then we got this dark here. Okay. So I'm just looking for the light's coming from this way. I'm looking for indications of shadow where you have masses of flowers. And so, this is just a mass of poppies. And it's like a wonder in the world for me. I told you about the fawn lilies that Ken and I found at our feet, and the lilies that Ben and Steve and I found. We had 3 pumps. Well, nobody was going to pump water. We were each going to walk through that forest of lilies. And so, there are these wonders out in nature and wilderness that kind of give you hope, All this is going on in spite of everything else that's going on in the world. So yeah. So Stock Schluter used to say, don't noodle. So I'm going to stick to that. And I mention these people because I did custom woodworking for many years and kind of got to the, being one of the top practitioners here in Humboldt County. But I made a point of working for or working with people that were better than me. And your learning curve is much steeper if you can do that. I've met many people that are like, no, I'm good. I don't want to go do a study with anybody or take any classes. And okay, you keep making the same mistakes. One of the first mistakes that was pointed out to me, I was painting too thick. If I was all a prima, if I was that good to do it all at once, that's fine. But I wasn't that good. Okay, contamination. We want a more purple shadow down there. Yeah, so some of my big lessons. Let it breathe. Paint thin at first. Thick over thin. My teacher, Mark Johnson, would say. And I'm one of those guys who was kind of an asshole and wouldn't listen to people. And it occurred to me one time, these guys are really trying to help me out. So let's listen. And then you take it and you have your own expression. You're not copying anyone. You have your own calligraphy. All right, I'm just looking at my little sketch down here and seeing what we got going, seeing where some of these shadows are. I'm really excited about getting some color in here, but getting my oranges and yellows, but they have to be kind of right at the finish.
Rick,
Yeah,
can I interrupt you for just a second?
absolutely. I hear you.
Okay. It's hard. I mean, because like you said, you lose the ability to speak, but watching you, we also just want to remain silent and watch. It's fascinating and beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm going to mention the time. We've got about 6 minutes before.
6 minutes. Well, we can do a lot with that.
Well, wait, before you jump to any conclusions, I'm willing to stay as long as you want to keep painting, but some people might have to leave at 8 o'clock.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask them or ask the audience first if they have any questions for you. And then if people do need to leave, they can go ahead and leave. So
Okay.
if anyone has a question, would you like to either type it in or just unmute yourself and ask, or comments? You've left them speechless, Rick.
Well, you know what I say to people that work for me when I was doing woodworking? There are no bad questions. Yeah. So ask away.
I appreciate you talking you're doing and telling about how to do all these various things and why you're doing them. I'm just unsure what paint you're using.
Yeah, this is oil paint
Okay.
and Graham and Winsor Newton, some Grumbacher in there. You know, there'll be colors of various manufacturers that you like. You know, like right down here, I have a phthalo. I'm gonna put it on my brush. Phthalo yellow green. I mean, this is spring. You know, there, I'm gonna put it up here. This is so spring. Andrew Daniel and I discovered this kind of simultaneously, you know. It's like, yeah, I'm really liking that phthalo yellow green on that new spring foliage. Yeah.
Well, thank you, and just keep it up. I can stay longer.
Yeah, I've been trying to get to the Mad River because the colors are going off in the cottonwoods and the alders, and trying to get together with some friends of mine. You know, there's like a couple of weeks where it's just remarkable, just remarkable. So, and that phthalo yellow green will come out, and then, you know, you use I see this lavender, you know, I see it in the hills late in the afternoon. I've seen it in my own redwoods, in the shadows of the light. And where I live, you look across the Mad River and you see this, like there'll be shadows, you know, shadow sides, which I'm not even beginning to indicate, and it'll have a darker version of that. And it's just gorgeous, you know. But it's the, it doesn't always show up in the camera. And that's why you got to understand the limitations of the camera. I photographed a painting I did at Big Rock. So Debbie Holland, my friend in, if you're out there, hi Debbie, she organized a wild and scenic river show. And I got all the coastal folks involved and packed it up. And Richard Stockwell, you know, actually he helped a lot with that. I was having some health issues. And anyway, it was going to go all the way to Sacramento. It was going to go to the Capitol, and it kind of floundered with COVID. But anyway, we got together for the return. She brought me, it floundered in Reading. And so we're always doing this kind of stuff because I like using art to promote and support and publicize environmental groups. Like we've done benefits for the Native Plant Society. We've done them for Mid-Klamath Watershed Council. We've done them for Smith River Alliance. And the North Coast Environmental Center, and just painting over some green snuck up there. So actually, I did a talk at this show we did for the Smith River Alliance, and I started out as one of those 60s radicals, the Young Socialist League in San Francisco, and I quickly got tired of being angry. And the mime troupe was just starting up, and they kind of appealed to my sense of the absurd or irony a little more. And then I always tried to, as a builder, you always tried to do things beautifully and with integrity. And with an artist, you do that. But we had the opportunity to do benefits. In fact, we're going to paint in May. Andrew Daniel is organizing it, and we're going to go paint along the Klamath and the Salmon River, and we're going to donate to the McWick. They have an auction every Christmas. So we're going to donate. Last year it was online, and I sold one there, so that's good. Excuse me. I'm just looking at my darks here. This needs to be a little darker. And over here, and the river's coming around this way. So yeah, there's those brushes up in the way all the time. This is probably too dark in here. Okay. Yeah, I want to get that secondary color of these poppies in there. And I'll do some, and then we'll get some blossoms in there. We're well into our 6 minutes, I imagine.
8 o'clock now. 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Rick, love you, buddy.
Hey, Burls.
Hey, gotta go
Girls.
put the kiddos to bed. But man, this is a beautiful painting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, did Melanie have you shaved before you came on tonight?
She did. She was telling me I was
agreement?
looking. She did that today. We got an $8 shaver from the dollar store.
There you go.
She said I was looking pretty ratty. So, behind every successful man, Burley, is a good woman. You know that.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, we're
Thank
trying to
you
get
so
out
much.
on the Mad River next week.
There you go. Say no. Say
I
good
can
night.
try.
Bye,
I can try.
Papa. Good night, Papa.
That's Leland, Dad, saying good night.
Good night. Good night, Lily. Yeah, Lily was out with me yesterday. And we got some pictures of him. We did a collaborative painting.
I saw the photos. What a beautiful, beautiful day and beautiful weather we've been having.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Hey,
need some
love you.
more water. But
Love you,
we
Uncle
enjoyed
Rick.
it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Burls. Good to see you. Burls is
Good
one of
seeing
my
you.
surrogate sons. He said, Uncle Rick, I'm going to start doing watercolors when the kids get bigger. And I'm like, no way. You start doing them now. Let's get you hooked up with Paul Ricard, because he's quite a remarkable watercolorist and has a son himself and knows how to talk to him. And Burls has just skyrocketed. See, I'm looking at that tree. I'm coming over here. Yeah, so kudos to Burls. Started having his own shows. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just kind of lightening this up as it sets up that, yeah, there's light shining through the top of all this, and I'll refine that later, but I'm just kind of reminding myself now. Yeah, one of the things you want to do when you paint watercolors is you want to paint big. And when I hosted the art night, that was sort of my mantra. And I meant to bring some of my grandson's work, but they're pretty successful at that. I give them 3 colors, the primaries. They mix them all together, and then they just totally cover the ground. So they're on their way. All right, what do we got? We got some. There's a lot of rocks down here. Yep, bedtime for the kiddos. Just gonna make some rocks down here that'll enhance the sense of this foreground. And there was one that I kind of liked that was vertical. So you see, I have quite a fistful. Fistful of brushes. Where E.G. Robinson is the master ocean painter, 2 brushes. And he'd just clean them constantly. And in many ways, the mountaintop, that just seems like a lot of work to me. All right, I'm trying to back up here and look at this. And it's like, do I believe it? Do I believe that there's a plane here? And I think I do. But I think I want this to be a little warmer in here.
Rick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Carol Ralph is here and she's traveling on the road. She may have to leave soon. Carol, are you still there? Yeah, I think she's still here.
Yes, I'm still here.
So are you going to be able to stay for a little longer, or did you have something you wanted to say before you have to leave? I know you're on the road now.
Well, I need to leave because I've had a long day and I'm going to fall apart. But
Yeah, if you need to say some stuff, go for it, and I'll just keep painting.
okay. Well, the first thing I'll say is I'm just amazed, Rick, how you can paint in a way that requires a lot of thought and you can speak at the same time, saying meaningful things.
Thank you. You know, it ain't easy.
So I guess you've practiced that.
I have not.
No, well, there's your next career.
All right.
Speaking
Thank
and
you, Carol.
painting. Okay. But I wanted to say more than that I'm here tonight from the North Coast chapter of the California Native Plant Society to express some real appreciation for what you have done for wildflowers over many years. You're as part of the group that I was loyal attendees at Art Night. You were the one who carried it on when we needed a new lead. You had the long list of acquaintances and the amiable style and the skill and the enthusiasm. You could do it. And under your leadership, that Art Night thrived. And then the art shows you organized, the wildflower art shows were really special. It complete with donations from the sales to our chapter. And we put the money into a transportation fund to get school kids to the show. And I always remember you saying that getting that many artists together to get their art together was like herding cats. I think you had at least a dozen artists.
I stole that from Joseph Wilhelm. That was his line.
Well,
yeah, it's true. It's true. Everybody's got something going on.
Yeah, well, it was a real challenge, but you pulled it all together and even hung it yourself. It was a good job.
Well, thank you.
So, I think there's somebody on the premises where you are who
Oh,
has
he's handing
something
me
to
something.
hand you.
Oh, all right. It's a recognition for his fostering a congenial atmosphere at Art Night, as well as for organizing benefit shows. Well, thank you. Yeah, it was a great delight for me to do that. And, when I had lots of energy, and that was way fun for me.
Well, I hope a certificate is just really a token, but I hope that it will remind you of the good work you've done and our appreciation for it.
It is. With COVID, we're also isolated. And so that is very nice. And then I have limited energy now. And so I just don't reach out like I used to. I'm one of those gregarious guys. And yeah, I'm liking the way this is going. And Carol, I've certainly enjoyed being your friend over the years. We've had some adventures, the Lassics. Remember that trip? I think your kids
the
were.
watermelon trip.
Oh man, we're just like, it's hot and miserable, and we're out hiking, and we come back to camp, and we're like, there's no water at the camp, no facilities, and who's got ice cold watermelon? Carol Ralph. Oh, I'm on it now. You had a big cast iron pot. We went to Big Flat at the foot of the Caribou Mountains, and you baked blueberry or blackberry cobbler. Remember that?
Oh yeah. God. Yeah, gotta cook a dessert in the Dutch oven on a camp out like that.
Yeah, we have had some fun.
Yeah. And the trip to what do we call it? That meadow up on south of Horse Mountain.
Oh, Buck Flat or Buck?
Spike Buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great day.
The snow had barely melted.
All the botanists are down on their hands and knees in the mud, and Amelia and Bob come walking through. They were tracking a bear. There was bear tracks, fresh. And you're going up there this weekend, or somebody is, right?
Yeah, we're going up. We're gonna be in the botanical area. We're not going down there. And you know what? You can't go to Spikebuck Meadow anymore because it's private land. Turns out it wasn't Forest Service land. That's private, and now it's got a pot farm on it.
Yeah, that's been a great sadness to me. Is you can't access these areas, and they're pretty insensitive to the environment too. So
yeah, I just hope the special flowers there are surviving.
Yeah, because that's the magic, right? For us, is there's we're cruising along and dealing with our lives, and you get out and it's like, hey, look at these flowers. This is magical. This reminds me of the Sufis would say, cause behind the cause. There is a presence in nature that's available to us. I used to take the kids backpacking, and Sue Portugal and I would do it. She'd be the mom and I'd be the dad. And I think we were going up into some lake. I always had to have swimming, right? And I'm anxious to get there. And we have a great 4 days and a lot of swimming, and nobody gets hurt. And on the way out, there were all these wildflowers. Where did they come from? Well, my consciousness had changed, and I was aware. I was sensitive. And that's why we like nature. It gets us more attuned. I'm still a Warriors fan, but boy, I get tired watching TV now. Got to get out in the garden and paint.
Well, yeah. I don't think I'm gonna make it to see the poppies get their orange in this painting.
I will post it.
But it's been amazing watching you paint, Rick.
All right, thanks, Carol.
Thanks for doing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you, Carol. That was
Good night, everyone.
good night. That conversation between the two of you was just lovely. Thank you so much for sharing those memories. And
yeah,
for
we've had
thanking
some good
Rick.
times over the years.
Very nice.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
And Carol is our fearless, we call it our fearless leader, the president of the Native Plant Society. Yeah, well, I'm gonna want to push this area back a little more. I'm liking the color here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some flowers in here, huh?
It's really beautiful, Rick. It's been great to watch you do that and see it come to life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you get out, you know, you're painting poppies and it's like, oh man, there's oranges and yellows and combos. And so this is something, you know, these are kind of right up in front of you. So I do want to indicate their forms a little bit. I think where you can get in trouble is where you try to paint every flower and it just gets real busy. But the edges, you know, you want to get up in there. I'm remembering Rembrandt now. My daughter's gone now, but she and I were in DC where she was going
I'm
to
still
school.
here, Dad.
Okay, I won't embarrass you. And we had a room of Rembrandts to ourselves. And we were posing and having a good time. And I just got right up to the nose. I think it was the girl in the pink hat. And the highlights, and I say this a lot to my friends, the highlights were goobers of paint, you know, and so the light would catch it. Yeah. Pretty much. Remember that day, Tara? That was just awesome. You know, here we are.
Yeah, you fell in love with the Vermeer room too.
Yeah. Well, Vermeer, I had been subsequently was gifted a beautiful book of veneers from you. And he was really painstaking, but his transitions from light to shadow is, what's the word? Chiaroscuro effects were just incredible. And again, it's to that filter. You know, you got to get up and see nature. You got to look at paintings in person as much as you can and try to remember. And the memory thing is a challenge. I recently had my camera go dead, or my phone go dead, and I was painting at Stone Lagoon. Well, what can I do? I'm just at a loss here. So I sat there and tried to memorize the colors in the wave break, and I was able to do that. I was able to go home and in my mind's eye still see them, because the camera, they would go dark. I use photographic reference, and I work from my own photographs, and I'm always augmenting something I've already started, like the block-in, like this block-in right here. You know, the light will have changed so much that I'd want to come back. You know, I would be able to come back next week, next year. Or if I have to finish and photograph, you have to remember the limitations. And this is one thing I see a lot in art, is people who are working from photographs and don't understand the limitations of the camera. So again, I think I mentioned how it, you know, your camera and the phone is kind of a wide angle, so it stretches everything out. And both Debbie Holland and I, we had painted there at Big Rock, and we're like talking about our work, and like, Didn't you remember that those were big hills and they were like kind of coming towards you, and because the camera pushed them way back. And then I was photographing actually a painting that I'd done up on Bald Hills, right below Coyote Peak, and there were red in the branches. The camera totally didn't see it. You know, it was like too low a frequency, you know? Yeah, didn't even see it. Yeah, the painting was, you know, still effective, but the red gave it a little extra pizzazz, just in some of the branches. Yeah, so this is where, you know, you kind of slow down and you're trying to articulate these buds with my Rembrandt goobers of paint. So the light will catch it. Yeah, I need a little bit of liquidity there. There we go. And these poppies will have a yellow. See if I would, yeah, I got a yellow on the top of these. And I grow these at home in the garden. I do native gardening, and it's an amusing bone of contention between my wife and I. And anybody that comes to help us in the garden cannot pull the poppies because they self-seed. Yeah, I'm going to get this over here and loosen it up a little bit. Well, I could spend a lot of time noodling with those, but you're kind of getting a sense of it. I want to get some of this stuff in the background. So I'm going to take an Egbert. This is an Egbert. It's really nice for glazing and getting loose effects.
Rick, while you're painting that, I think I'll just check with Jay, since we had the studio here at the Ink People for 1 hour. Jay, how are we doing with time at the Ink People?
It should be okay.
Okay, well, thank you for staying a little longer than we thought you were going to.
Yeah,
We sure appreciate. This is Jay Tillman, and he's the
Show yourself, Jay. There he is.
He's our behind the scenes tech person, and also one of the people who teaches the youth in the Ink People's Mars program. And they've set up this wonderful live recording studio that Rick is painting in, and graciously has offered to help us with these artist presentations. So thanks, Jay, for doing this and for letting us stay a bit longer.
Yeah, Jay's been great. He got me all set up, you know, dealt with all my fears. Yeah. So when you sit and look at this, maybe I can get the picture. Well, no, we can't get that. But it's just a field of color. And as it recedes away from the viewer, so again, I don't want to try to paint everything. I can do a little bit on the edge. But it's not pointillism. It's not dot, dot, dot. You see, now I look it over and I see that you just keep refining. See, that's the finish. I like the planes. I like the orange on the blue water. Ha! But I think this is a painting that I'm gonna continue to work on. And I'll do that. I'll let them sit for a while. And you have such emotion in them that you think you've done a pretty good job. And then you come back the next day or a week later, and it's like, oh, that needs work. That needs work. And so it takes me a little while to get these where I think they're good enough to share. So, you know. There was some color coming down right here. See, with oil paint, I can move things around. So I have utmost respect for watercolorists again. I really want this over here further, so what can I do? This is what I say to my grandsons. Ta-da! Just scrape that out. Yeah, plein air painting has gotten really popular the last few years. It's kind of remarkable. Comes at a good time. We live in such a beautiful area. We had a plein air paint out. Unfortunately, it was when the fires were going on, so it was smoke and the sun reflected red on the surf, and well, I'm liking that. Get that brushed out a little more, yeah. So these guys in front, you know, I was set up right back from them. And so I could really see the forms here. And like I said, I've gone all the way back to Poppy Beach and oil painted, but now the trail is gone. And then I've gone in there with gouache, wading 5 or 6 times, and you know, and depending on the water is, that can be a little arduous. And now, yesterday, I think Tom and Leland and I waded 7 or 8 times. So got to have a walking stick. And
so Rick, two of our people who are watching you this throughout this beautiful painting are going to be leaving. One says, sorry, I have to leave. It's been fantastic. Thank you for your magic. And someone else said, thank you very much. I have really appreciated watching you work, and I look forward to seeing how it ends up. So I'm wondering if you, I know you're going to be working on this in the future, if maybe you can share to our Facebook page this painting as it progresses.
Hey, that's a great idea. Let's do that.
Yeah. She also finished with saying it's been so much fun and amazing that you can do the painting and keep up with talking. And like Carol said, you've said a lot of wonderfully important things while you've been talking. So, and her final comment was good job. So
Yeah, that's the highest accolade from Carol, having known her all these years. Yeah, I could call it right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. I mean, this is I would say it's a beautiful finished painting, but I know you're going to keep working on it, but it's just gorgeous. Thank you so much for doing it. And like I say, we have the Facebook art share page. If you can't get to that page, if you want to send it to me, email as you progress, at different stages, I'll be happy to keep posting it so people can see additional stages of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rick. That was just fantastic.
Yeah, I've been having fun. This was, like I say, I always try to do more than I really can sometimes, but I think I call these good starts.
Yeah, that's a really good start. And I hope, the stories have been fantastic too. I hope I have the chance to go out painting with you, hearing all of your fun painting tales.
Well, let's go.
Let's go. After watching you, I thought, yeah, this would be fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very.
You live in close to so much beauty up there in Trinidad.
I do. I feel grateful, and as do you, as do we all. Yeah. Lots of good places to paint.
Yeah, this spot is 20 minutes from my house, and what are you gonna do, huh? You're gonna go, and you're gonna, in these difficult times, it's just good to get out.
Oh yeah, and to capture it the way you do. Does anyone else have any questions or any comments that they'd like to share with Rick or ask Rick before we call it an evening? Not seeing any. But Rick, I think you really inspired people. I'm hoping that I'm going to see some of these little oil paintings show up in the little free art galleries we've got all around the community.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing some of those now. How much time do we have?
You have as much time as you want. If we see some of yours show up, yeah, it's actually due to run for the full 2 following weeks of April, but people are saying they want them up for a long time. So if you get a chance to do a little one, gosh, be sure and let us know. We want to watch for it. Even if it gets snapped up right away, we want to see a picture.
They'll be going into Patty Sennett's box in Blue Lake. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, she's getting a lot of action in her box. It's been pretty fun to see how many people are posting. Rick, I just can't thank you enough for doing this. This has just been fantastic, just beautiful. I feel like I was out there on the river bar with you.
Yeah, 80 degrees yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, nobody believes me, but yeah.
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 It's called Blue Lake.
That sounds wonderful. Well, I'm going to let you clean up your brushes then, but thank you so very much.
All right, it's been fun. You never know. We pulled it off. Jay was great.
Yeah.
He got it all set up, and it worked.
Jay
So
pulled
thank
it off,
you, Jay.
and you pulled it off. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to stop this recording here.